Welcome back to another video. In this video I will show you how you make the domino even more efficient. We will have a look on how to join two boards without making the tick marks by using these little extension wings. I will show you the math behind mid-panel joinery and my way to join panels that do not register against an edge. Then we will have a look at how to make screw holes that allow for wood movement with the domino, as well as another method of how to fasten a tabletop to the aprons with these little buttons. And last but not least, I'm going to show you why it's efficient to put your domino into the vise and use it that way. I'm Fabi from Bau-Woodworks, and now let's get to it. Now, for all of you that are not familiar with how the domino works, let's have a quick look. Essentially, it creates an oval hole. Into that oval hole you can put these dominoes and then joint your pieces with them, like this. You can use it to joint a panel, you can use it to joint miters, pretty much anything. The domino itself has a bit that goes back and forth to create that oval hole. You can set the depth of cut and you can also set how far away the cut is from the fence. For some case miters, you can also set the angle of the fence. When you have a joint like this, you will need a tick mark on each board that indicates where the domino will go. You register the center line against your tick mark, make the cut on each board, and then you can joint it. Making the tick marks takes time, but there's a faster way. And the faster way is using these extension wings and also two spring-loaded stops at the domino itself. To get the stops out at the domino itself, you use a 2mm Allen wrench and untighten these little screws and they plop out. When you register the domino against your workpiece, you can use this stop for the beginning. For every consecutive domino you make, you can use these extension wings. They attach to each side of the domino and they have these spring-loaded pins. Now the cool thing is you can set the stop on each side to the exact same distance because there's this indexing scale. Now when you make your first hole against this indexing pin, this indexing pin can go into the slot and you make the consecutive one, and then another one, and then another one. This way you can make repeatable holes on every board. Now let's have a look how it really works. I want to butt joint these two boards like this. To do so, I will register the domino against the front edge and then make the domino slots into each board. Now the important thing is that you register the domino against the front edge of each board. I will make a quick scribble here so I will not use the wrong edge. I will also mark where the dominoes will go. Here they will go into this side and here they will go into the edge. Here, this is the outside, and now let's make some holes. And one more thing, the domino I use is 40mm long. These boards are 18mm thick, so if I go 20mm into each board, I will blow out this way. To account for that, I will only go 15mm into that board and 25mm into that board. I have a 6mm cutter in it. The fence is set to a 20mm board and my depth of cut now is 25mm. I will start with this board, register my spring-loaded stop against it and make the hole. Now the spring-loaded pin is going to go into that hole and therefore I can make the second one. Alright, the last one was a bit close to the edge, but that's still fine. 1, 2, 3. And now let's change to the other board. To hold this board, I will put it in my vise and then use the domino with the stop again to make the cuts. That was close. Don't forget to change your setting to 15 millimeters. Now let's have a look at the fit. It's flush here and flush here, so perfect. This method really excels when you have large cabinets or larger parts that you want to join, because there will be more dominoes. And it's also pretty nice to have if you join a lot of boards of the same width. That's going to be super fast with this setup. Let's have a look on how to make mid-panel joinery like this. It's going to require a little bit of math, but stick with me, it's not that bad. The only important thing you have to know is that from the base of the domino to the center of the bit, it's exactly 10 millimeters. So what does that mean? It means when we set the fence to 20 millimeter boards, which centers the bit on 20 millimeters from this side, it's also centered from this side. And why does this matter? Because we will register the base of the domino against the line we will make on our workpiece. Now let's get closer and you will see what I mean. Okay, to put the board here, I will first take a square and mark a square line where the board needs to go. And it's going to be on this side of the line. I flip over the fence of the domino, and then I can register my flip stop against the front edge, and then register the base against my line. It's exactly the same thing as before. Now we will register the spring-loaded pin against this and make the next hole. If you do not feel comfortable to hold the domino, you can also clamp a board straight to your line. That makes it easier to register the domino against. To make the holes for the counterpart, remember that you register the top of the domino against this side and start on this edge. Alright. Okay, the fit is perfect, it's flush here and it's flush to the line we drew before. Now what if you want to make a mid-panel joint that does not register against an edge? It's actually pretty simple, but we cannot rely on these little spring-loaded stops. What I will do, I will position my board just the way I want it to be. Let's say at an angle like this. Again, I will make a mark, and this time I make the tick marks. To make the tick marks, I like to use the head of my combo square, put it where the domino will be, and then I have a nice reference. 1, 2, and 3. That's it. Now we can make the domino holes to our tick marks. Again, remember 20 millimeter setting, 10 millimeter to center of the bit. You got it now, I think. Again, let's have a look. As you've seen, mid-panel joinery is actually not that complicated. Bear in mind, it's 10 millimeters from the bottom to the center of the bit. If you want to join boards that are way thinner and you cannot use the 20 millimeter setting on your domino, you can just offset your line and account for the space you need. The next two methods actually do not include any of these dominoes. Now, we will simply use the domino to make an oval hole to our advantage. Let's assume you want to have a nice coffee table or a dining table. You want to have it a solid piece for the top and you want to account for wood movement. If you simply take your apron and screw it to your top, it's gonna split. But if we make an oval hole where the screw can ride in the slot, you're perfectly fine. And we will use the domino for it. Now the holes will be oval here, here and here. Therefore I will make a small mark for the center of the hole. 1, 2, 3. I will make the hole with a 6mm bit from here and then with a 10mm bit from here. This way I will have a through hole that is 6mm and a stopped hole that is 10mm from here that accounts for the head of the screw. This thing is 36mm thick, so I will set the fence of my domino to 36mm. And for the 6mm hole, I will set the maximum plunge depth of 28mm. There we have 3 holes. Now I will continue with the 10mm hole from the other side. I will change the bit, leave my fence at the same position, but limit my cut depth to 12mm. Here we go. Perfect oval holes for the screws. They go in like that and they can still move freely, but keep the top flat and stable. Another way to attach the top of a table to the base is by using these little wooden buttons. They have a stopped hole that it will accept a bolt or a screw, and these little nozzle that will go into the slot we will create with the domino. Now we want the buttons to be almost flush with the top, a little bit of a room here, so when we tighten down the screw here, it will tighten the top against the base. To set the fence of the domino, I take the button, position it against the fence so the nozzle looks to the cutter, and then adjust it until it's in the right spot, just like this, and then tighten it. I switch the slot width to wide, and then I can make the slots into my base part. And as you can see, the button fits into the slot, has a bit of a wiggle room left to right, and it's not quite flush with the top. So when we put it like this and screw it down, it's going to hold the top and still allows for expansion and contraction of the top. On to my favorite domino technique, which is putting it into your vise. 10mm from the base to the center of the cutter. That also means if you put your fence to a board thickness lower than 20mm and have a board that is less thick than 20mm, you cannot put your domino onto your workbench and route into your piece, because the fence is not hitting your workpiece. The base is hitting your workbench, and therefore you get inconsistent results. You need to let your workpiece overlap and then route into it from here. This can get pretty dicey to clamp it. You have to unclamp it several times to get into the edge, and it just is not fun. And also for small work pieces, it's hard to clamp them or hold them tight with your hands, and it's also not fun. And I thought there must be a better and faster way, and there is. You simply put your domino upright and take your workpiece to the domino instead of the domino to the workpiece. Let's have a look how to do that. I designed this jigs for it and made it with my CNC. You can put it into your vise, or you can also clamp it with 2 clamps to any work surface. It accepts the domino, and with these screws you can really tighten it down. You're still able to get to all of the controls, and then you can take your workpiece and route into it. You can still use the extension wings to register your workpiece, and also the little stop on the domino itself. To show you how fast it is, I will joint these boards to that board, and you will see it's pretty fast. All right. If you want to use this jig for a larger piece like this and prevent it from tilting down, you can still use the original attachment that goes onto the base here and gives you a little bit more of a reference surface so it doesn't tilt down. Just like that. You can make this jig yourself. I use Baltic birch ply. You can also get it in my store. Check it out. It's in the description down below. And I will ship it worldwide. Now, thank you for watching and I will see you in the next video.